Hi, welcome to Midwifery Wisdom Reacts. This is Leila, Bekah, and we have a guest speaker on today, Kim Haines. Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am a midwife. I am a mom of 5. I've been attending births for the past 17 years. I'm in a little town called Tomsbrook, Virginia. What else do you want to know?
We're so excited to have you here reacting to these videos. We've got a couple cool videos coming out for you guys. I think the first one is I didn't know I was pregnant. That'll be really interesting. And then we're really excited to look forward to birth videos in the car. And if you haven't noticed already, but a couple of weeks ago, there was a video on Instagram where a birthing person decided to live birth. Yeah, live stream on Instagram. And we just wanted to speak on that a little bit and talk about how 19,000 people watched this live stream birth and kind of interact with normalizing home birth. So stay tuned. We've got so much more coming out for you, and we can't wait for you to react with us.
Make sure to like and subscribe to see more.
So crazy, and that's what's so wild about childbirth is that you have these phenomenons that I wonder sometimes, like, if they aren't phenomenons, if we stopped calling it extreme pain and just said you might have some light cramping.
If people in such pain,
maybe you wouldn't make it pain. I don't know.
I read Orgasmic Birth, like, this is going to be me. And then within like an hour, I was like, fuck that.
Yes. Okay, so that's so funny because I look back at my birth and I'm like, I had this orgasmic birth. I caught my baby. And then my husband's like, you were screaming, kill me now the whole time.
Nuh-uh, my hair was flowing behind me.
Yeah, I was like, no, I was orgasming during the Ring of Fire and it felt good. And I was like, it was just like amazing. And he's like, no, you pooped on my hand and you did not.
That's not. No, he should be like, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was beautiful.
I know. But yeah, I mean, I will say that speaking of Ring of Fire, I was never told that it would feel like Ring of Fire. And I don't think I felt Ring of Fire. Like no one ever said to me, it's called Ring of Fire. It's going to burn. Instead, maybe this is like sadistic, but I felt like it was when you were a kid, and you like dropped hot wax on your hand and it was like, it kind of felt good. You were like, let me drop some more. Ow. You were like dropping candle wax on your fingers and stuff. That's what it felt like to me. And I kind of feel like if someone had said to me, it's going to be a searing hot ring of fire, it might have been.
Yeah. You have these thoughts in your head of how it's going to go before you get a chance to actually decide for yourself how it feels.
Well, and doesn't that like create the pain? You're like, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Like, of course it hurts because you're like,
I've read a couple of books like that. Like in some countries, they just go about their business and birth and it's nothing,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Wonder what that would be like.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't ruin it because I haven't watched the video, but these people who are like, I didn't know I was pregnant and then just end up plopping out a baby, like, it obviously was not mentally. They weren't preparing for pain because they didn't know they were going to go into labor. And then they just had a baby and it wasn't painful. They were like, yeah, I went to use the bathroom and I didn't even know I was pregnant. The baby just came out. I'm like,
that blows my mind.
Maybe it was because they didn't prep for this. Okay, we'll watch this video.
Your temperature. I actually thought I was coming down with a flu bug because at my work, we have been seeing a lot of people come in with flu-like symptoms, and I was starting to develop the same symptoms that they were having. I started getting like a stuffy nose here and there, and I started developing headaches, and I thought it was because of the weather change.
I says, well, maybe you should take a pregnancy test.
How can you be serious? I was like, yeah, right, because I've been having my periods. I was getting them every month. So I actually, when I went to work the next day, I took a pregnancy test. And it came back negative. I had minor weight gain. That's it. I'm going on a diet. So I was trying so hard to lose this weight. I was watching, exactly what I was eating. On August 12th, it was about 11 o'clock, and I started to not feel so well. I felt muscle achy. I decided to lay on the floor because I figured I was going to be up and down all night. I don't want to keep waking him up.
By the way, you tell your husband to lay on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, you.
On my left side, and I thought it was menstrual cramping because I was supposed to start my period in the
No,
morning.
you don't. No women don't. No, women don't.
I felt like somebody was standing on me, like pushing with all their might on my stomach.
Have you ever had a gas pain so bad you thought you were about to have a baby?
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They are. I'm not have a baby. Okay, I exaggerate. But I really think that sometimes gas is more painful than labor. Although, again, remember, I thought I had an orgasmic birth and my husband says otherwise. So there's that. But she really could have just thought she was really in gas pains.
Well, and you know how we were talking earlier about if you don't perceive labor as being painful, maybe it's not. So in her mind, she was having allergies. So all of her labor pains are showing as severe cold and stomach flu. That's what's in her head. So it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Stomach flu. She had a stomach flu.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of anyone having a stuffy nose as a symptom of when you're pregnant.
Yeah, no, pregnancy rhinitis is totally is very, very common. And they that's you see the bulbous noses. It's really stuffy all the time. Yep, very common.
Yeah. That would suck. I would hate that.
But it does look like allergies.
Yeah.
How does she not feel the baby moving? That's what I want to know.
Gas?
Yeah.
Wow. That is intense gas.
Gas flutters.
So much gas. How much gas is so much gas?
My gas is making my stomach visually move, my stomach's
not
not
normal.
Gas.
Okay,
He's a nurse, right?
Yeah.
My thing is okay, and I don't want to hurt on I didn't know I was pregnant people, but it really has to legitimately be that they didn't know. Who in their mind rightly goes a full pregnancy and doesn't seek assistance regarding the fact that they're about to birth a human out of their bodies unless you really didn't know.
Yeah.
Or didn't have health care.
Yeah, I mean, that's different, right? I knew, but I didn't have health care and I cheated on my husband, so I can't help. You know what I mean? Those are a little bit different. But
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I've never understood how this happened. I know it happens, but some people can't even get out of bed because their bellies are so big or the babies are moving or whatever. And they're like, oh, this thing just came out of my body and I thought I had gas.
I know. It blows my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gas.
Felt like something was coming out.
Oh.
And the next thing I hear is crying. And I'm like,
can you imagine being the husband?
I'm hallucinating.
I wake up from a dead sleep. Jen's screaming and I hear a baby crying. I was like, what? What's going on?
Did you steal a baby?
That would be so bizarre.
That would be so weird.
Ooh, they did a really good job.
Yeah,
they did.
Fresh. That was one of the better new, not actual
tiny?
real baby.
Yeah. It was small. He had some mech and vernix on him.
Yeah, the hair is all, swirly and wet.
I kind of feel like that was a real baby.
Oh, I think
they didn't use a rubber baby.
What?
No, that's
I think it
rewind
was.
it. Yeah.
That's a real baby.
I truly had a baby in
Oh.
15 minutes. I just can't believe that there's a baby laying right there and I didn't know I was
That would be
pregnant.
so weird.
I'm just utterly shocked.
Trying to talk yourself into believing it is
Aw.
what you're both trying to do.
So hard.
But then, it starts kicking in that, we need to assess the situation.
We had a blanket and some towels that happened to be in the
Call
room.
911.
And I grabbed them and wrapped the
Call
baby up.
someone.
Hurry.
Concerned for
Do
Ken because
something.
there was just like an immense amount of blood there.
I'm up, okay?
That you quickly lose a lot
Oh,
of
he's
Yeah.
so sweet.
critical issue. Typically, we give medication to try to stop that. We can transfuse them. But if you're at home, you're not going to have access to all these things.
Not true.
Right.
Wait, what did she say?
That
What did she
doctor
say?
said, that doctor was talking about hemorrhaging and saying, normally we give medication after someone has a baby to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
But when you're at home, you don't have access to these things. Not true. I'm a perfect
She should have
example.
said home alone and
Yes.
not knowing you're pregnant.
Right. Right. If you didn't know you were pregnant,
Yeah.
you don't have preparation for any herbs or understanding of the normal amount of fluid that's going to come out of you, or a midwife present who has licensure to carry Pitocin, Metrogen, misoprostol, oxygen, IV fluids, then sure. But my thing is he's like, there was a lot of blood. How many of you guys out there know exactly how, I'm talking to our audience, partners, husbands, know exactly how much blood is a normal amount of blood? Because I see a lot of them be like, oh my God, she has some blood in her pad. Is that normal? I'm like, that's bloody show. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're bleeding. She's bleeding a lot. And I'm like, what's a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, send it to
Send me
me.
a picture. It's like a little spot. And you're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
It's normal. It's a normal fear and misunderstanding.
and yet how scary would that be if you had no idea that was going to happen when you woke up in the middle of the night?
That's impressive gas. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine how it happens. And even seeing it play out, I'm like, no.
Yeah. Like, how does this?
No.
I know. I wonder too, she was obviously going through some serious shock, and this is like an actor, but in real life, I'm sure she really was probably in serious shock. But I'm curious how bonding goes with a baby.
no, like the dad said, baby was still on the floor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, I mean, I know people who know they're pregnant for the whole time still struggle with bonding sometimes. So imagine this baby that comes out of nowhere. You're completely unprepared. Wonder.
At the same time, you know how we talk about that pause that women often take if they're left completely alone, right? But if you're in the hospital, you've got nurses and doctors just putting your baby on you, or here, take your baby. I do it to women sometimes. So this woman may have just had the full time that she needed. When he said the baby was still on the floor, maybe she got that I just need to be in shock for a minute. And then he said, and then we reached down and touched the baby. So she kind of got that pause that a lot of us don't get, in the real world.
Yeah.
So
how do you do that? How do you do that in your practice? Because that's something that is actually new to me as a student midwife. For me, I've always learned, and as a doula, skin to skin, the breast crawl, right? So put baby on the belly and then have the baby go, or put the baby on the mom's chest immediately for blood sugar regulation, temperature regulation, hormone regulation for both of them, all these things. But interesting that you say that, because the last, 2 births in the past 5 days, both of the moms specifically said before their baby was born, I want a pause. One was born on hands and knees, and the mom stayed facing away. Baby was, midwife was holding the baby behind her butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stayed on hands and knees for 2 minutes without turning around yet. It was I wanted this pause. I wanted this wait. And the other one was birthed in a tub, and the dad was holding the baby between mom's knees, up ahead. And mom was like,
Give me a minute.
And I was, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So, I always would just put the baby on the mom, right? Because that's what we do, all those things you just said. But over time, and because I have 5, and I didn't want to hold one of my kids when he came out at first. It was a really traumatic experience. And so I was just kind of like, I just remember thinking, just give me a minute, but there was no time, no one pays attention. So I started reading moms as their babies would come out. If they would reach down on their own, I would just kind of guide that. But if they didn't, if they kept their hands, some of them will lean away, I'll just say, whenever you're ready, your baby's right here. So, or I'll lean towards dad or, towards partner, whenever you're ready, we have baby. And some moms will grab right away, but I'm shocked at how many moms just sit back and go, whew, that was a lot. And they just kind of zone out. And I make sure to say, it's normal to feel that way. Just give yourself a minute. And then when I started doing that, women started saying, thank you for saying that, because in my mind, it was saying, my mind was saying, you need to grab your baby. That's your job. But my body was saying, just take a second. So since I started doing that, I'm shocked at how many moms don't grab for their baby right away. And they love it. And because then when they do, it's all their senses start to come online. They wake up, they look, it's oh, hey, welcome back. Oh my gosh, look at this baby.
Wow.
Instead of taking the baby and some of them will look away. And if you pay attention, you're precepting everywhere. If you start watching how moms react to babies being thrown at them, a lot of them will turn away, and they don't even because they just can't take it in yet, because you're in a primal brain. So it's hard to be shaken from a primal brain to provider, maternal provider, that, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's kind of cool.
That is really cool, because I've always believed that in the sense of breastfeeding relationships, that the baby led latch, right? Either the breast crawl or allowing that baby to really find the breast on their own and latch, rather than the midwife, which again, I've always done, right? Take the back of the head, squitch the nipple, bring the baby on real fast, get it on there, get that first latch, let's mark it, I've always really, really believed that when the baby leads the relationship, they will have a better long-term relationship. And I always make this funny joke to moms and dads. I'm you can't force someone to love you. You can't force someone to breastfeed, right? But that makes so much sense in this way too. You can't force a bond. You can't force a connection. So allow the mother to want it when she wants it.
Yeah. And once it kicks in, it's the pause never happened. It's just, you need time for your body to come down from that. I mean, it's, you've been there. It's so intense. You can't describe to someone who's never given birth those first couple moments afterwards, I've had a lot of moms tell me they don't feel anything for a few minutes. Right. So I've started saying that to them, you may not feel anything when your baby first comes out. And they're oh, that's ridiculous. But then it happens. And they're thank you for saying that in advance, because otherwise I would have been upset or worried or whatever. Yeah. But I will say that I had one mom that didn't want to hold her baby from the beginning. It went too long. I get it. It was very intense, but it took so long that the baby ended up having heat issues and just kind of tachypnic and things like that. So I feel there's a line, but you feel when it's being pushed,
Wow. Yeah. I had someone in a postpartum visit say to me one time, she started breaking down and she's I have a confession. And I was oh no, really scared. She's when my baby was born and they put him on my chest, all I could think was, I just want my dog.
Oh.
And my initial reaction was that's normal.
Yeah.
Right? You just wanted the thing you already knew and loved. You didn't know this thing yet. you know, and you just wanted your comfort puppy, your baby, you wanted your baby,
Yeah.
the baby you've always
It's
known.
the wrong baby.
Yeah. And she was just like, really? And I was like, yes, that's totally okay. And she's like, I was feeling like such a terrible mom because I didn't have an immediate bond with my baby. And I was like, so yeah, you're right. Women and birthing people have this stigma about needing to immediately want and love and have their babies on them. Did you have that pause, Bekah?
I'm like, Kim, as you were talking, I was like, don't get emotional. Because it's, you know, it's super fresh in my mind. And the birth with the baby, my little guy that I just had was honestly a little traumatic for me. It was 2.5 hours as to 12 hours with my first one. So it was like a totally different experience. So I really needed that second because I didn't have any seconds for that 2.5 aggressive hours. And I was on hands and knees and he was out. And yeah, my midwife just kind of held him for a little bit. And I just like breathed and like told my husband, I was like, you get him. Like, I need a second. But then when I was ready, they passed him between my leg and I scooped him up and I was like, now I'm ready. But if he had been put right on my chest right away, that would have been a lot. I needed that moment to just, to like process the trauma that you kind of just went through. Yeah.
It's a lot. A 2.5 hour birth. I see a lot of moms that have precipitous births like that are usually the ones that are like, or
give
like
me
a really
second,
phase or something. Yeah.
Well, your body doesn't even realize it wasn't pregnant anymore.
Right.
It's just
like, and then of course the placenta doesn't come out because your body's like, nah.
I'm still working on this.
Which goes back to this video we're watching. Like, how does your body work when your mind doesn't know?
Connect. That's like misfires, you know, trying to be like, wait, how do we line up?
Wait, how do we go into labor if we're not taking all of these like herbs to start birth? Like, how does that work?
What do you mean you didn't put primrose up your vagina and drink 5 cups of red raspberry leaf?
You're supposed to snort it too, by the way. Don't do that. Not really. Don't do that.
Do not try this at home.
Oh man.
Everyone's like, well, what if I don't take the herbs? And I'm like, yeah, I'm for against it. It's like for it if you want it, against it if you don't. It doesn't. We're overpopulated for a reason. We know how to procreate. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be okay.
Your baby will come out of you.
They will.
It will eventually come out.
But you guys in Virginia have a little bit better laws regarding post dates.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Right. Wow. So you can say that.
Yeah.
Because your clients have the choices of going 43 weeks if their body went 43 weeks, right?
Yes. They're in Virginia. I shouldn't say we don't have any, but our laws are not as strict as you pointed out. And there's a lot of informed consent. And it's more of like community standard than like if you go, you know, like, you know, in Florida, if you go past the state, like, wow, you know, you can't do that. So, so yeah, Virginia is a little more lenient in allowing the families to like steer their care, I guess you would say.
Yeah. So you can make like those as part of your practice guidelines. Like, sure, if you'd like to and stimulate, you can. If you don't want to and allow your body, you know, and everything, of course, is, you know, showing fine, then fine. But in a lot of other spaces, that's not the case. And so it's like this weird fine line between, like I always say, when you fuck with Mother Nature, she sure does fuck you back, you know? And when you, not in a good way. When you stimulate before your body and your baby is ready, it's not always a pretty picture.
And it's such a whole thing to get into, because we'll have moms that come to us as midwives and then, you know, they're like, yeah, I really want to trust my body and I want to do all the things. And then they hit 40 weeks and like it all goes out the window. You know what I'm saying? like, fuck that. Now I'm going to
Yeah.
nipple steam and castor oil and I'm going to poop for the next 3 days. And I'm like, listen.
And then I'm gonna get exhausted and not be able to.
And then you'll go into labor,
Mhm.
for 4 days. But
Mhm.
it's like, it's hard to trust your body. But if you're going to make that commitment, you can't change it if it's not going your way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all a whole pot of things, because then once you're given a certain cutoff time, if your brain isn't working because you're freaking out, then your body doesn't work. So it's just a whole cycle that you can talk about for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Your body's like shutting down. Like you can't stand, you can't talk, you can't feel anything.
Shock.
You're just shaking, like shivering, but you're not cold. It was almost like being paralyzed.
Stay with me.
I called 911.
I need an ambulance.
While Justin waited anxiously for the paramedics to arrive, he woke his mother to tell her the shocking news.
She's in
Asked
the
her to
house.
take care of Jen's 5-year-old son.
I need you to stay with
In
me.
the-
Oh,
they had
Jen,
another kid.
There in like 5 minutes.
Jen has another child.
So wow.
So she knows what labor feels like.
Yeah.
She obviously didn't wake her mom up.
That's
Mm-mm.
crazy. I was just thinking like, oh, maybe she doesn't have any kids, so she doesn't really know what labor, hasn't experienced that
Well, I
feeling.
mean, maybe she
Okay.
hasn't. She's had maybe she had a C-section with her first.
Yeah.
Maybe it was scheduled.
had
Like
another
we
child?
don't
I
know
thought-
that.
Yeah,
What did
they
they
just
say?
said he went to wake up his mom or her mom to watch their 5-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or wow. Huh.
Okay.
So she knows what being pregnant feels like.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How do you go? I mean, especially if you've been pregnant, unless it was his from another relationship.
Weird.
Well, they could have put that in there. That would really help people like us.
Yeah.
From the
Blogging
start.
about their birth.
This is why they put it 5 minutes in, so that way you have to watch the whole thing to
Right.
All the details.
Story. Oh my gosh. Stop. I can't. No wonder the baby came out so easy. Come on.
I
The
know she
paramedics
was already
took
prepared.
My vitals and my blood pressure was so low.
Like-
they were scared like I was gonna go into shock.
Girl, I think you were already in shock.
Dustin actually got to cut the umbilical cord. I wished I could go back. I could have taken better care of her and done all the things that I could have done for her. They finally came back about 2 hours later with her, and they said that everything was okay with her. And they ran all the blood tests on her, and everything came back normal.
It took them 2 hours to tell her that nothing was wrong with her baby, or 2 hours to do blood work to make sure there was no diseases from her accidental home birth. Oh my gosh. Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the NICU is the highest grossing floor in a hospital. The highest money maker in a hospital. It's not cardiac, it's not neuro, it's the NICU. Because insurance companies will do anything to save a baby. So you can bill everything for a baby and the hospital will get paid for it. And they can increase the pricing of what they bill for that baby, and the hospital will do it and the insurance will pay for it, because no one's going to turn down a test for a newborn.
Mhm.
It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Did you-
And
She was probably so upset for 2 hours. And for what? For what?
Yeah.
But I am interested. I wonder if the baby's early.
Well, are they going to say how much the baby weighed? Watch, like 8 pounds.
Healthy baby.
That she was full term.
There we go. Full term.
Wait, she said full
Full
term?
term.
Yeah.
Happy. I was really, really happy.
Well, she got her pause, but it wasn't really on her own terms.